Welcome to Liner Notes. My name is David Bixler. Heads up that due to COVID-19, this interview is recorded remotely. It might not be the same quality as if recorded in a studio. On his new record Dedication, drummer and composer Dan Weiss presents the listener with sonic portraits of musicians and family members that have figured prominently in his life. He acknowledges the seemingly disparate Elvin Jones and Burt Bacharach, as well as honoring his daughter and late grandmother with affectionate tributes. Joining Weiss on the recording are the members of his long-standing piano trio, pianist Jacob Sachs and bassist Thomas Morgan. Dan, welcome to Liner Notes. I appreciate you making the time, and I'm here to talk about primarily your new recording, Dedication, which came out last week, and it's with your longtime trio with pianist Jacob Sachs and bassist Thomas Morgan. So first, congratulations on that.
Thanks a lot.
A couple of things. I want to talk about the music. I want to talk about the band and also the motivation behind the record, because it seems very personal, examining formative musical influences as well as family members. So let's talk about the band first. Reading in the liner notes, you guys have been together for 22 years, and this is your fourth record. It's really incredible to have a band together that long. And so maybe tell me how the band started and your relationship with these incredible musicians.
Sure. I went to school, Manhattan School of Music, and I met Jacob there. I went from 95 to 99, and he was there my same 4 years. Thomas went to school. He came the year after, but we started playing in that year. I guess it was 99 or 2000. And yeah, so we pretty much met at Manhattan School of Music. And I maintained a lot of those relationships since, which has been nice, really. I met a lot of people there that I still play with. So Jacob and Thomas, we started playing back then, started writing tunes. Jacob started writing tunes, so we played those as well. And just kind of kept it going,
Cool. Also reading here, there's a quote by you saying you like to think of yourself as someone who's coming out of the tradition but trying to push it forward. Just curious, how has, from your standpoint as a composer and as a drummer, how has the music changed? I imagine the first recording was done 2 decades ago.
Yeah, I think the first one was maybe 2005 or something.
Uh-huh.
That's a great question. Let me think about that. Well, hopefully we've gotten better. that's the first thing. The basic things, you get better, you hopefully you grow, you've grown in those years. The more you play together, as you know, the more trust and the more cohesion there is in the band. In terms of the composition, I used to write really everything at the piano, and then I've been trying to broaden my process more the last maybe 5 or 6 years to really not just get locked into that, because there's only so much I could do on the piano, So I use more ideas from the drums, so things that I might be practicing or rhythmic ideas, I might use those as more of a basis, or maybe just write it at finale with no instrument, just to see what happens. So a couple of those tunes on that the new record Dedication were written just without anything. So that's kind of a new thing for me. And then a few years ago, I started this band called Stair Baby, and so I started learning the electric bass because I wanted to write from that angle, just because the music was more coming from kind of a heavier place, and that's such a part of the music, like guitar and bass. I wanted to actually feel what that felt like. So I took a bunch of electric bass lessons with various people. So I guess all those things bring, they influence the compositional process. And then just, the deeper into music you get, I guess it informs the playing decisions, the composing decisions. You get more mature. So maybe you play less, as you get older, or you play, maybe you make choices that you wouldn't have made when you're 25 or when you're 30. So, all those things, as you know,
Right. Sidebar, studying the bass, has that changed how you approach playing the drums within a rhythm section? I'm sure that you have new insights of what a bass player has to do, and has to put up with.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't picked it up in a couple of years, but when I was, practicing a bunch, Yeah, it really did make me think differently just about the note value, different bass players, how long would they hold their quarter note? And, obviously some would hold it, longer, and some would play more staccato. So just the lengths of the notes and how I could, get inside that maybe quarter note, or how I can accompany that, or what can I do to complement that, or, things like that. So definitely started hearing things in a different way. And now, so when I listen to records now, I might be really paying attention to the note value and things like that, and the voice leading and the bass and bass lines and etc.
That's really cool. With this recording, you are presenting transparency of a lot of your influences, and like so many jazz musicians, just because of where American culture was when we were growing up and is now, jazz isn't really part of the fabric of America. It's not on television and the radio like it was in the
Right.
40s and 50s. So a lot of us have a circuitous route to this music. So I'm curious, has writing, has composing always been part of what you've done? Did you start out as a drummer or a pianist? Because I'm imagining by your writing that you have piano chops.
I started as a drummer, yeah, when I was pretty young, and then I took piano lesson. I was messing around a little bit with the piano. I remember at a young age, just nothing, just messing around. And then I took lessons in high school. I took classical lessons in high school, and so I was practicing, some legit stuff, and then I was writing at the piano back then. So I started writing probably maybe I want to say when I was a sophomore in high school, something like that. And yeah, I mean, I was really into a lot of different things, but I remember the first couple things I wrote, I was really, for some reason, they sounded a little bit, not that, I can't put myself in the same category, but they had something like a weird kind of, it was more like monk with like it was a little, it was a little left of center from the beginning. So I guess, I don't know what I'm trying to say, but maybe I had something in my ear from the beginning that wasn't it was just taking things from different places, maybe I'm not exactly sure, but
All right. Well, I mean, that's evident by um, who you're acknowledging as your influences. On this record, some of them I didn't know, and we don't have time to go into all of them, but a couple that I wanted to jump into was Bacharach.
oh yeah.
Um, Yeah, and so, obviously he permeated top 40 radio for a, decade or two. I can't remember, probably when you were a kid. And so tell me what this music means to you. Is it a nostalgic thing, or is it something that, you're playing and like you come up with an idea and then you think, oh, wait a second, man, that's from this tune, whatever it is.
Yeah, that tune, it just, for some reason, it was reminiscent to me a little bit of something in his music. I really like his music. I really like it, especially performed by Dionne Warwick. Really, it's really love that stuff. His songs really hit me pretty deeply. I really like that record with Elvis Costello. The Painted from Memory record.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's something in his music that hits me pretty hard, and formally too, like form wise, it's very very interesting, and it's always been interesting to me in terms of just like a pop composer, what he does with forms, on as specific tunes. So like Promises, Promises, I was always like, what the hell is, just trying to figure out what is happening structurally and
Yeah.
form wise, phrase wise, and then just melodically, he was really really beautiful. There was a tune that really kills me is Make It Easy on Yourself. That's a Bacharach tune that really, really kills me. Yeah, just a lot of them. So yeah, something I heard in that tune that reminded me of him. So why not?
Do you know if he has heard this?
Oh no, I would bet 30K that he is not.
Okay. Well, if I had 30K to spend, maybe I would bet you. But
Oh, you'd lose
yeah.
that bet.
So let's say he hears it. What do you think he's gonna think? He said, "Look, this is your music meant a lot to me. This is my interpretation of your music coming through my sensibilities." How it like you don't need to defend it, but let's say you're gonna have a conversation with him. What would that sound like?
Yeah, it would say, look, your music has meant a lot to me in my life, and I thank you for it. And that's really the only thing, but he likes it or doesn't like it. I can't control what he thinks. I can't control what he says, but I could only get across that, that I dig his music and thanks, thanks for it.
All right. Yeah. Okay. And then, I guess, the next one that's obvious, Elvin.
Yeah.
One of the one named giants to all jazz musicians. That there's only one cat it can be when you hear that. Um, who was Elvin to you? When did you first hear him? I assume you heard him live at some point in your life, probably many times, and maybe talk about that relationship with his music.
Yeah, for me, yeah, for where I'm at right now in my life and just as a drummer, it's just something about Elvin that hits me definitely one of the deepest, it's like the earth or something, I feel like he represents the earth, and kind of Tony is more like the water, there's something, that kind of thing. And same with, like, I could put kind of Philly Joe in that same category as Elvin, earth, and then maybe Max is in that Tony kind of lineage as the water or something like that. So, or Blakey as the earth, and you know so I first heard Elvin, I guess, the first recording I ever heard him on, I was too young to really appreciate. I wanted to check out Train, and the first recording I got was First Meditations, and I wasn't ready for it. So, so I put it on the shelf for a couple years. What I wanted to hear was like, I remember saving up money and getting Blue Train. So I got Blue Train and the Prestige stuff, and that was more like, okay. And then a couple of years later, then I revisited that First Meditations and Transition, and then Crescent, Love Supreme, and then something clicked. It's like, oh man. And as I get older and older, his drumming hits me more and more. How many, first of all, how many facets there are to his drumming. It's not just what he did with Train. Like, there's a record that I love, Tommy Flanagan, Lonely Town, where he's just playing beautiful time, no embellishment, just straight time, and it's like he played what he needed to play for the gig. Or that Stanley Turrentine record, Mr. Nastral, he's just playing like I would never know as Elvin, but he's just playing what needed to be played. And something about that reverence for the music, I resonate now with more now that I hear him doing these different things, these different facets. I saw him play, and I can't remember the first. Yeah, I do remember the first time. It was at the Five Spot on 27th Street, and my dad took me, and I was sitting right in the front row, and I remember talking to him, and how what a sweet person he was. He was
Whoa.
a sweetheart. I told him I'm a drummer, and he was encouraging. And then at Manhattan School, he gave a lecture, and that was 97, I want to say. And again, just sweet man. So that also taught me, like, you have your heroes, and, some are really cool. Some are not, but some are. And it's like that resonated with me, I want to be, if there's someone younger than me or someone maybe that looks up to me or something, I want to use that as a model. Someone who's really nice and encouraging and, like lifts you up. So just personally, that always meant a lot, that I can get that from a hero of mine.
Amen to that. I have a student here that just came back from PASIC and had a not pleasant experience with one of his heroes that will go unnamed. But
Yeah, of course.
yeah.
And yeah, so just remember that we're all just trying to get better. We're in the music, and there's no need for any of that stuff. And, so use that as an example. And I'm sure Train was the same way, like the giants of the music. There's something to be said about the giants who are cool, I mean, there's a lot of personalities and a lot of things, but really like the giants, I don't know. It seems like some of them were really nice. So
Yeah. So we're just coming out of pandemic, crazy political things look like they're starting to happen again, and George Floyd, which is also one of your tunes here. Maybe if you're comfortable with it, take some time. How, like where you were during I've been calling this the trifecta. Like that we as a civilization lived through. But I think for a lot of musicians, this hit hard. And so tell me about this tune.
Yeah, I mean that affected me as it did most people. A lot of these police brutality is there's nothing. I mean, besides going and marching and donating, it's really just kind of trying to express things the way that I can. It's really, I don't know what else to do besides naming those things. I mean, I can't do anything politically. I'm not a politician, so I could just express myself through what I write or through what I play. And yeah, it was really sad. And sometimes if I'm just going through something, not I didn't go through anything, but if I'm just feeling something, I might just go to the piano and express it that way. So yeah, that's pretty much what I did. It's really I hope things change. I don't know really what else to say.
When you brought in this piece or any of the other pieces, was this all new music for this recording?
Let me think about that. Yeah, there was one piece that didn't make the cut. This is actually the second time, because the last trio record we recorded it too.
Well, the same tune.
The same tune, and
it's gonna have a complex, man.
I don't understand, but it just was never right. And I'm pretty like low maintenance. I'm not like, I'm like 2 takes and that's it, done. I'm not high maintenance with that. I'm not a micromanager or let things happen. But it just never felt right. So we recorded the record before. And it's like, nah, it's not going to go on there. And then we recorded it this session, and I was, no. So, but yeah, other than that, everything was new. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Did, like, especially with the, I mean, some of these are personal, which we're going to get to in just a second, but with George Floyd, was there any explanation that you needed to the cats, or did they like get the vibe right away and that was that?
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
I'm trying to think if there's really anything that I explain. I'm trying to go through the tunes in my mind. Um, no, and if anything, it would be like a. I remember there was something I played on that Tarkovsky tune, which it feels like it's a certain way on the pulse, but it's really not. So I would just, Jacob wanted me to just, isolate that, and that's pretty much it in terms of the music. Um, Maybe like for Vivian, I would say let's just build that, so like let's just do a crescendo the whole way, like build it the whole thing. So that's a case in point where I would give some kind of instruction, but that's really it. Yeah.
All right. And then so for Vivian, that brings me to the next category. You have a tune for your daughter and then one for your grandmother, which I read had just recently passed.
Mm-hmm.
And, making yourself very transparent and vulnerable in these compositions.
Yeah.
Any words about those? Have you played Vivian for your daughter? Did she?
Yeah,
She
I
dig
have.
it? Is it cool that there's a tune for her on a recording of her dad's?
She's got great ears, and she's also very sensitive. And the past year or two, maybe more, maybe 2 years, she doesn't let me play anything that's sad or emotional for her. Like if I put something on, I was listening to Elton John yesterday, and I had to turn it off. Or if I listen to something like whatever, if it's the tone is sad, she can't deal. So the Vivian one, it's got it's a little, it's got some of that. So she won't let me play it for her. Hopefully, she'll get over that one day and she'll listen to it. And but yeah, that's the zone she's in. She just wants kind of just what we've been listening to lately is just like Stanley Turrentine or like Big John Patton or organ stuff, like just stuff. She's just like happy and
Yeah.
it's kind of her zone right now.
And I thought the tune. I'm forgetting the name of it. The tune for your grandmother.
Yeah, for Grandma May. Yeah,
For
exactly.
Grandma May. Yeah. It's beautiful, man.
Oh,
Just,
thank you.
Yeah, really made me want to like, I don't know, wish I had spoken to her or something.
Well, I wish I'd spoken to her more. That's probably one of the reasons why she was great, and I just, I was never so open, with her, and I always felt more comfortable with, contemporaries or friends or people my age, or it was always easier for me to open up. So, sometimes I wish I could have with her because she was so open, but for whatever reason, I just couldn't really do it. So that was one thing, I was able to do, was at least write a tune for her. And, she was great lady.
It sounds like it. The music is, it's really incredible. Very cinematic, really drew me in. And you guys are all virtuosos, super cool. Also, I really thought, I loved the how it was recorded. And did you have a hand in that, or is there an engineer, or did you record it yourself? It just, to me, it had like a density to it, or something, that every instrument was very identifiable within the recording. Like it had really good presence without being obnoxious.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Well, Ron St. Germain, who's a great engineer, he engineered it, he mixed it, and
Okay.
he's done a lot of different things. He started, in the 60s or 70s. He's done a lot of great stuff. I know he worked with Stevie. He mixed Whitney Houston stuff. He mixed Soundgarden, Bad Motorfinger, that record. He mixed Living Color, Stain, and he does some more improvised stuff too. So he did a lot of Ronald Shannon Jackson's records. So he's done a lot of stuff, and he's coming from it, not just from a jazz standpoint, but just a lot of different music. So he's not shy with the drums. He's not shy with the bass. And
Right.
I really like that. And then the mastering engineer, Scott Hall, he's great too. I use him for one other thing. And yeah, he gets a nice big sound, and, he's good craftsmen, both of them.
One other question I had about the recording: is there any time that the piano is overdubbed, or is he just playing that much piano?
Yeah, on Elvin, there's a few. On Elvin for Vivian, there's definitely some overdubs. Elvin, there's a bunch of melodies, and for Vivian, there's overdubs. I wanted it to build, so we put layers of piano, and that's it for that. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Really, really incredible. Before I let you go, where can we hear this group play, or where can we hear one of your projects coming up?
Yeah, well,
What's happening?
we're doing a little run. We're playing at the Jazz Gallery December 10th. We're playing at the Bop Stop in Cleveland the 11th. We're playing at the Ice House in Minneapolis the 12th, and then the Rex in Toronto from the 14th to the 17th, all December. So, nice little run, get it out there, and it's a fun band to tour with. Pretty easy, and yeah.
Has this music been played live, or did you just record it?
Yeah, we've played some gigs.
Okay.
We've played some gigs since we recorded it in December of 2020. So
I didn't catch that. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
right in the we were all masked. I remember it's tough doing some of this stuff in masks, but yeah, we were all masked doing a recording, and we've played some gigs of the music since. Yeah, maybe a handful of gigs. Yeah.
Well, I'd like to check this out live. But anyhow, Dan, thank you so much for your time, man, and congratulations on the record.
I
Pleasure
appreciate
talking
it. Yeah,
with you, man.
thanks for having
All
me,
right.
and great to meet you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Liner Notes is grateful for the support of Van Doren Reeds and Mouthpieces. Be sure and check out the Van Doren Advisory Studio in New York City for all your sound sculpting needs. Liner Notes is grateful for the support of Arlen's Good Beer in Bowling Green, Ohio. Sound by Marco Mendoza. The theme music is No FOMO, Mofo by yours truly. Produced by David Bixler. Be sure and subscribe to Liner Notes wherever you find your podcasts. If you like what you hear, I ask that you consider supporting Liner Notes financially. You can do this by going to the Liner Notes tab at davidbixler.com. Thank you for your consideration.